Kids laugh at it. Geography teachers clear their throats and rush past it. Greenland is buried in ice, while Iceland looks surprisingly green. You don't need a PhD to sense something backwards. Two massive islands sitting side by side. And it feels like someone swapped the labels after one too many drinks. A typo. A sleepy cartographer. Not at all. The real joke is even better. These two names were born from very human emotions. One man was running from exile. Another was simply sulking. Sounds more like a sitcom than history. Right. Welcome to the 9th and 10th centuries, where decisions that shaped the world map were sometimes made in less than stable moods. Let's start with Eric the Red. He was expelled from Iceland for murder not once, but twice. Violence wasn't rare in the Viking Age, but being cast out of your community meant you had crossed a serious line, pushed to the edge of society. Eric sailed west and discovered a vast island. Most of it was covered in ice, with sheets more than 3 kilometers thick, nearly 3 times the height of Mount Fansipan stacked on top of each other. Not exactly a promised land. But Eric didn't have many options. He needed people, families, farmers, blacksmiths, a community to survive. So he made a bold move. He named the place Greenland. Was it a blatant lie? Not entirely. The southern fjords did have relatively green valleys during summer, suitable for grazing, but the majority still ice. Eric simply chose to tell the more appealing half of the story. Now shift the camera to the other island, Iceland. There we meet Floki Vilgerðarsson, an adventurous Viking with a streak of impulsiveness. He was among the first to attempt settlement there. At first, things seemed promising. Then winter struck hard. Livestock starved. The weather turned brutal. Floki climbed a mountain, looked down at a fjord filled with drifting sea ice, and felt deep disappointment, maybe even anger. In that emotional moment, he named the place Iceland, all because of a few floating icebergs. See the irony. The island filled with grasslands, geothermal springs, and fertile volcanic soil was branded ice. Meanwhile, the island buried under massive glaciers became green. One man needed settlers, so he chose an inviting name. Another had a terrible day and named a place based on his mood. And here's the part that makes me laugh. No scientific committee ever stepped in to fix these emotional decisions. There was no emergency meeting of a geographical error correction board. Nobody said, "Hey, maybe we should rename these for accuracy." History can be charmingly lazy. Once a name sticks, it stays. But the story goes beyond humor. It reveals how humans respond to circumstances. Eric used hope as a survival strategy. Floki reacted with frustration. Two attitudes. Two names. Two very different lands. Put yourself in the shoes of an Icelander back then. Land was limited. Conflicts were rising. Winters were harsh. Hearing rumors of a new Greenland, a fresh green territory, would you feel curious? The word green alone paints images of grass, summer, thriving livestock. Meanwhile, Iceland sounds cold and unforgiving. Words carry more weight than we realize. Winter temperatures in Iceland can drop below 0 degrees Celsius. Yet, thanks to the Gulf Stream, it remains warmer than many regions at similar latitudes. Greenland, on the other hand, sits deep within a massive ice sheet where temperatures plunge far below freezing. That difference isn't small. It's the gap between being able to grow grass and growing nothing but hope. And yet, on a map, it all looks like a punchline. What fascinates me most is this realization: history isn't always written by calm, rational geniuses. Sometimes it's shaped by someone trying to sell a future and someone else having a very bad day. Ordinary, deeply human moments. And if you're thinking, that only happened in Viking times, take a look around. How many projects, products, or trends today are named based on hope or fleeting emotion? How many things sound brilliant on the surface but hide a more complicated reality underneath? Next time you open a map and see icy Greenland and surprisingly green Iceland, don't just laugh. Remember that behind those names were real people with moods, ambitions, and mistakes. History isn't a cold, logical machine. It's a collection of good days, bad days, and impulsive decisions. If this story makes you question a few obvious truths on a map, then perfect. Maybe next time we'll dig into another name born from a moment that was a little too emotional. Because sometimes, what shapes the world isn't complex science. It's simply a human being feeling hopeful or feeling fed up.